Welcome to the Coaches Show. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director, and I'm pleased to have a special guest today, Coach Rachel Hawn of Franklin High School, girls basketball, Coach Bruce Hamilton, Centennial High School. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're talking about tonight's Battle of Franklin matchup. It's a district matchup, which makes it important. 11-4A, again, that's still kind of hard for me to say. 11-4A. Also one of the oldest and biggest rivalries in Williamson County make this game special. Coach Hawn, let's start with you. You're in your first year as head coach at Franklin High School, first time on the Coaches Show, but you're not a rookie in terms of being in this district. You played at Franklin High School, you come back to the district, you're an assistant coach at Ravenwood High School, assistant coach at Franklin, now running the show there at Franklin High School. So tell our audience a little bit about yourself, Coach.
Yeah, well, like you said, I'm from Franklin. I had two coaches when I was at Franklin High School, which kind of been the trend leading forward. I had Katie Jackson and then Carrie Goodwin, who Carrie continued to keep coaching at Summit High School after she left Franklin. But yeah, it's nice to be able to pour that blood, sweat, and tears as a player and then go off into college. I continued to play at Marable College. And then coming back, it's a true investment into the program that we've been, like I went through, and then trying to build and continue to get back to the success it had whenever I was around.
Coach, let's talk about this. To me, one of the things that's happened with Franklin on the girls' side, and I can speak to this even the short time I've been here, lack that stability. You named two coaches that you had in high school, and there's been 3 or 4 in the last 7 years. I think any school would say it's hard to build a program when you're always changing coaches. The administration and you, I think, are both excited about this being a good fit and one that lasts for some years now.
Yes, that is definitely the plan, to stay in for a while. It's hard, like you said, to build a program where we've got a 3-year trend where they're in for 3 years and then they're out, which is very unfortunate because it really just hurts the team and the program. So in terms of longevity, like I'm trying to be patient, even though that's hard. As you know, competitor mindset, it's not the best start of the season that we've wanted so far. But just a reminder that this is my first year. I'm really trying to lay the foundation, the building blocks, in something for the future as well. So short-term and long-term is definitely in the back of my mind always.
Coach Hamilton, really at Centennial with the girls program, maybe fought some of the same things in terms of turnover. With this group here, you're the crafty veteran in year 2 as head coach at Centennial High School. Talk about this, Coach, and Coach Hawn will be interested in this answer. In year 2, getting used to one another, I mean, obviously Coach Hawn, the players knew her, but let's face it, you as the head coach coming in, they don't know you, you don't know them, but year 2 has to be a lot smoother when it comes to that.
Oh, well, absolutely. It's been smoother. We had a lot of seniors last year, and so we lost 7 seniors, and so this is a new group, not an experienced group, but just being around and being in the program and being able to practice with a lot of these younger players last year definitely made a difference with our terminology and, what we're, trying to accomplish and do. So that's definitely been a step in the right direction.
Well, and Coach, I know for our viewers that don't know this, you're very humble. You got a background of a lot of winning, coming from Alabama. I've noticed, and maybe you would admit to noticing, I can feel the excitement around the girls program, even last year and certainly this year, is on the uptick, and you have to be excited about that.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I don't know that as a coach I see that all the time. We take steps forward and then we'll take 2 or 3 backwards. So, it's a good group. I like the young ladies we have in our program, and it is exciting. So I appreciate you noticing that.
Coach Hawn, let's talk about your team. You talked about your struggles, 2-13 on the year, only 0-1 in district play. And let's face it, those district games are the ones that matter. Tonight's a district game. You lost some key pieces off a team that really played well last year, especially at the end. You have some good young talent, but talk about that veteran, Lila Gardner, and what she means to your team.
Yeah, Lila's been a huge impact this year. She's one of 2 seniors. Lily Ernest is another one. But in terms of being on the court, Lila's really had a great couple games the past couple weeks. She's starting to find herself, which again, senior year, I wish we would have found her a little bit sooner, but it is what it is. She's been a good vocal leader on the court and off the court. She's pushing. She's very competitive, so I think that's starting to rub off on the girls as well. I think tonight she'll be ready to play, especially a big rivalry game. ready to go.
Coach, talk about Amy Elliott. So sophomore point guard, really played well for you the past couple years. Something that really stood out to me, and I thought, is this a misprint? You play Hillsboro, and I think everybody would admit as good as anybody. From the point guard position, and we're not talking that Amy's this behemoth. She's a little gal.
5 foot nothing is what I call her. 5 foot nothing.
Double-digit points and rebounds in that game against Hillsboro.
So yeah, that's definitely huge. We've been stressing rebounding a lot, especially against Hillsboro. 21 is just a beast on the board. She's really good, and so that was kind of our game plan going forward. Was you've got to keep her off the boards along with other players as well. And so I think we were talking about this after the game. Amy did a good job of going and getting the ball, but I think a lot of that credit can be to our other bottom block girls for actually boxing out, holding it, and letting her run through the lane. So on that point, it's a team effort, but again, it looks really good having her point guard and getting a double-double, especially with rebounds. That's huge.
Coach, talk about this too, and goals for your team. Is it one of those things that, hey, we just need to get to that region. Let's get a couple more games at minimum in terms of getting some experience for these young players? Or do you even talk about that at this point?
I think we definitely take it one game at a time. The big goal, of course, is get out of the district, get out of the region, and then move forward. I mean, if you're not working for a state championship, why are you here, right? So that's definitely something in the back of our mind, but we're more focused on game by game because, especially talking about young and inexperienced, one game might be really good, and then the next game, it's the other way around. So it's definitely trying to focus at the immediate, what's right in front of us, but at the end of the day, we're working long-term too.
Coach Hamilton, your team comes in 7-9, 0-1 in district play, had a really tough game on Tuesday. It's hard for me to remember this. An out-of-district game against Ravenwood, which is about 10 miles from you, if not closer. So that was a great game for your team. I know you came up on the short end, but you start off winning some games this year. Right off the bat, you're winning. And then you have let's just face it, I know it's next girl up and all this kind of stuff. It's a tough loss when you lose a player like Addison Gourday.
Yes, not only, is Addison a good player, she's a very good verbal leader, and so we missed that on the floor as well. But I think it's been a while now that she's been out, so I think we've kind of, slowly getting our identity of who's going to do what, and we've had some people step up. I think Jules Garrison, a senior, has really done a very good job for us. So, but we definitely miss Addison. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. She's a big piece, and I'm just happy that she's got a chance to, play next year as a senior. And so we look forward to her getting healthy and having a good year in the future.
Coach, talk about this. We mentioned Amy Elliott with the big double-double against Hillsboro, but you've got a young lady, Bethany Wright, a junior, that's averaging right at a double-double.
Yeah, Bethany's has had a very good year. She's active. She runs the floor well. She rebounds well, and she's got a great spirit about her, and definitely trending in the right direction. I hope she keeps working hard. She'll have to really do a good job tonight for sure.
Coach, talk about this. Last year, you and I had talked about let's get in that region tournament. That's something you and I talked about probably off camera. You do that. What do you need to do to maybe take that next step this year and get an additional, more than one, postseason wins?
Yeah, well, I think anytime you're rebuilding or trying to build a program, the more you can practice, the longer your year lasts, whether it's one practice or 5 extra practices or one game, it definitely can benefit in the long run. So we're still a young program, got a lot of learning to do, so hopefully we can take that next step and continue to lengthen our season.
Let's talk about your district. So 11-4A, Brentwood, Centennial, Franklin, Hillsboro, Overton. Let me start with you, Coach Hawn. The teams in your side of the region, so your district, so we're talking the other district is Columbia, Independence, Nolensville, Ravenwood, Summit. With Brentwood and Hillsboro at the top, I would argue your side's probably a little bit tougher, especially from those top parts. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Brentwood's got some good players coming back and they're decent shooters still. So that's definitely going to be a hard component. And then Hillsboro is just a good run and gun team. It'll be a good battle for sure.
Coach Hamilton, again, talking about the district, it's tough, and not that you guys are giving up not finishing first, but I think there's a real opportunity for both of your teams, and tonight's going to go a long way. There's a real shot to finish in that top three.
Oh, yes, and that's that's advantage because you get to advance to the region, going in, and so I know that's something probably both teams are working toward, and we'd like to obviously finish in the top three. It'd be a nice prize for sure.
Coach Hawn, let's talk a little bit about tonight's game. So your team, what do you need to do offensively? What are you looking for tonight? Whether it be just working on you or what you need to do based on what they do to you defensively.
Definitely attack. That's been our MO lately, is trying to get the ball to the basket, right? Start in close and then work our way out. We talk about that every day in practice. Start in close, then the shots outside will come. So just continue to take good shots, and shot selection has been a big focus as of late. When you're open, shoot it. If they're up on you, drive in. So just learning the game and what's the best shot to take, and I think that'll be big against tonight's matchup.
What about for you guys, Coach Hamilton, offensively? What are you looking for tonight?
Well, first off, Franklin's very quick, and they play hard. They're very good defensively, and they've got very good guard play. And so I think for us, we have to be aware that they run the floor very well, and obviously Elliott and Gardner, but you got Powell and young freshman guard, I think, is having a good year for them. And so we're just going to have to be able to take care of the ball, and they're tough defensively. So we're going to have to fight for everything we get, for sure.
Coach Hawn, when this game's over, if there's a stat or two or maybe a key, hey, we did this defensively and it helped us be successful, what's that?
The emphasis is boxing out. We've got to box out. If you stop those second chance shots, it goes a long way. Stops momentum. So that's going to be our emphasis for tonight, is just keep them off the glass.
Coach Hamilton?
Well, I think we've got to execute. I think we've got to execute our man offense or whatever defense they're in. I think offensively we've got to be prepared for whatever they're doing tonight. We've got to adjust well.
Coach Hawn, talk about this. Battle of Franklin, and you know this as well as anybody. You were involved in as a player, as an assistant coach, but it's got to have some pretty special meaning to you, your first time as head coach in this particular matchup.
Oh, yeah, I think it's going to be huge. I think the environment's going to be big. We've reached out to alumni, which I'm in the alumni Facebook page. So we've been reaching out to alumni. It's also a Hall of Fame night for us. We're inducting people into the Franklin Hall of Fame. It's also going to be our Natchez game as well. And then we're also inviting our middle schools to come up. So I'm hoping there's a big turnout, and I'm hoping our girls and boys team can just feed off the energy and just enjoy a good matchup, because that's what it's about, right? Good game on a Friday night, and it's going to be fun.
No, it will be fun. Coach, talk about this, because you've had a year in it now. And listen, if it's not what I'm wanting to hear, it's okay. Talk about the environments here in the games versus maybe where you came from.
Well, I think the Franklin game, I was in a two high school city before, so the Austin-Decatur rival in Alabama was very big. We actually played out Calhoun, a junior college. So, but I think this Franklin Centennial game feels very similar. I know over there last year it was a very good crowd, and there's a lot. I think your players have to be able to communicate on the floor, because sometimes coaches' instruction, it's a little different. Not all the time do we play in crowds that way in a girls' game. So, but it was exciting. And it's a lot, not only the Centennial Franklin, there's a lot of Williamson County rivals that's just more than us. And so that's been a little different from a broader aspect. So it's been, it's definitely skilled, very good coaches, and very good basketball up here.
Coach, that's exactly the answer. Hey, thank you guys for being here, and we're looking forward to tonight's matchup.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
We'll be right back to talk to the boys' coaches right after this quick break. Welcome back to the Coaches Show. Talking about tonight's Battle of Franklin matchup. Centennial High School travels to Franklin High School. We now have the boys' coaches, Coach Jeremy Moore from Centennial, Coach Jason Tigert from Franklin. Thank you guys for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Franklin and Centennial, two of the favorites in District 11 4A. In my opinion, the stronger side when you're talking the two districts this year. We'll start with Coach Moore. Christmas break, I think sometimes those things can go okay or not so okay. You get that trip out of town with the team. I get the sense your team grew closer together on that trip.
Yeah, we had a good trip. We played Independence the Tuesday we got out of school, so I kind of count that as our Christmas break. But went to Pigeon Forge, stayed in a cabin, and played 3 pretty good teams down there. But, more importantly for us, it was just time for us to kind of build a stronger culture and the guys come together. And I thought we were able to do that. We had a pretty interesting time trying to get up there. We got hit in a snowstorm in Knoxville and had to stay in a motel and all kinds of crazy stuff. So it was good for us to experience that together. And then, since we've been back, we were able to put together a couple good week of practice and play a couple good games. And, we're just trying to get a little bit better every day.
And for our viewers out there from Risk Management, everything's good. Nothing weird happened. Coach took care of business. Coach Moore, talk about this a little bit. Battle of Franklin, what that means to the folks at Centennial High School, means so much to both communities. I don't think you can go in there and go, hey, it's another game. It is another game. It's one game on the schedule, but it means something when Franklin and Centennial match up. Yeah,
I think Centennial kind of split. Franklin split with Centennial opened in '96, I believe. So we're a little bit a newer kid on the block, but we got some history there, and it's a very important game for our community. And now that we kind of honor Natchez High School with this game each year, I think that's important too. And I know Coach and I talked this weekend, and they do something every day, and we're kind of following suit and try to do something just to explain the history of Franklin. I think a lot of kids don't get that anymore. And when I was in school, we had Tennessee history class, and that was a class we actually had to take. So I think it's bigger than the game. The game is great, and it'll be a good thing tonight for everybody to come out and watch. But it's also has a lot more meaning than just a game.
And talking about Natchez High School, I know you guys are both history teachers. I'm sure Coach Tigert, y'all have had some of those discussions too. But to talk a little bit about that. This is the Natchez game tonight. You're going to wear the uniforms. I know Coach Moore and I were talking. I'm the same way. You'll be double and triple checking that you wrote the right number down because you're wearing a different number. But talk about that game tonight and what that means.
Well, it means a lot, and it's brought just a ton of awareness to the athletes and just the community. And a lot of that history hadn't been recognized the way it should be. Assistant Coach Anderson, very well. He comes up with the idea to do this. I think he got the idea from, I believe, Gallatin. They do a similar thing, and so we pitched it to Centennial, and they were all about it. And it's just been a really neat thing. It's more than just the uniforms. We have had a lot of good conversations because of this, and we've been able to honor some people that and induct people into our Hall of Fame that I don't think necessarily would have happened if we wouldn't have done this game. And so it means a ton, and the guys are pumped about it. They love it. It's really good, and I think the community likes it as well.
And I'm thinking from a marketing standpoint. So if I'm Coach Tigert, I'm saying, hey, Natchez, you went to Franklin right after Natchez. And if I'm Coach Moore, I'm saying, actually, if you look at the zones, the folks that were at Natchez would be zoned to Centennial.
Yes.
You're both doing that, right?
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Well, we love it, and we think it's appropriate, and we're excited about that part of the game. Coach Tigert, let's talk about your team. Again, I think Christmas break was one of those deals. You grew closer together as a team. You go to Florida, you play in the Hilton Sandestin tournament. Mm-hmm. I told Coach Wilkins last week of Independence, you guys should have just driven back and played that final against Independence here. You come out on top 77-75. The thing that stood out to me was this. Obviously, 2 good teams. 25 threes made in that particular game. 13 for your team, 12 for Independence. I believe that's right.
Yeah, and both teams have similar style offensively, and really like to get up and down the floor, and we like to shoot the three. And both teams were hot. Where I say maybe teams weren't defended very well. Whatever the case is, a lot of threes made that night, and it was just an outstanding game. It's going to be a really exciting matchup when we play again at Franklin High later on this month.
I've got a prediction. I'm going to step out a little bit. You guys aren't going to hit 25 threes tonight, total. I don't feel like it's going to be one of those games. You don't have to respond to that, but I was telling Coach Moore, I saw the score with Brentwood, 42-40, and I had a little, like, I thought I was back in 9 AAA with a Coach Bond versus Coach Moore matchup where every possession was like pulling teeth, so to speak, to score. If there's 25 threes tonight total, I don't think you would necessarily be happy, Coach Moore.
That's not going to be good for the Cougars. we got to defend a little bit and hope they miss because we may not make 25 threes in a month.
If there's 25 threes tonight, Coach Tigert, you might feel a little bit better. It's more your style of
Well, no doubt, but we know Coach does a great job game planning, and that's, teams that guard us, that's definitely a point of emphasis. There's no secret about that.
Well, what's great about this, and you guys know because y'all have been through it, when you're getting ready for you got to win all kinds of games. You got to win highs. You got to win the 77-75 game. You got to win the 42-40 game. And both of your teams definitely have the capability of winning in some different types of games. Centennial, let's talk a little bit, Coach. 13-5, 1-0 in district play. I've said to many people, because Coach Moore, you keep it kind of low key. After media day, I said, Coach Moore likes this squad. He's talking a little bit differently than I've even heard him talk before. This is a team that is a reflection of you, and you're a reflection of them, in my opinion.
I appreciate that. I hope so. But I do love my team as far as they come to practice, they work hard. We're not the best basketball players, and we're small. But, that's kind of what everybody says when they see us is, I thought y'all would be bigger. And I wish we were bigger, but we can't really control that. But, I'm 4 seniors that provide a lot of leadership on the floor, off the floor. 2 or 3 juniors that's played a ton of minutes. So we're experienced. We may be young, but we've got a lot of experience out there on the floor. And, it took us a little bit to get in rhythm from football. I think, you can see with Dominic and Tanner both, they're still trying to figure out how to play 28, 29 minutes a game, where last year they were playing 32 minutes every night. I don't think we've peaked yet, and I think we're still got a ways to go. But, I think we'll compete and we'll fight with you a little bit. And, the nights we make shots, we're okay.
Tanner Lee, you were mentioning him. Dominic Reed, and I'm sure you do a good job of selling this too. Outside of this show, Tate and I talk about it all the time. You've got the reigning district MVP. He wins it as a sophomore. And in a lot of ways, I feel like he's overlooked a little bit. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, his game's not pretty. He's not going to shoot a ton of threes. Everything he scores is kind of near the rim. Teams don't guard him and try to guard him 4 or 5 feet, and he still finds a way to get 15, 17 a night. But the impressive thing about him is, let's take our Brentwood game, our first district game. He guards Daniel Cochran for 30 minutes. Daniel's 6'7", 6'8", and Dom's giving up 5, 6 inches, but doesn't have to score to impact the game. Right. And, I think that's why he was voted by the coaches is just the appreciation that he'll rebound, he'll defend, he'll pass the ball. He's not a guy that, I call them volume shooters. Where a lot of guys averaging 20, 24 points, but then you start looking at them, they're getting 30 shots a game. Right. I've got some that would love that system a little bit, but he does everything. And then the thing about Dom and Tanner both is they're unbelievable practice players. It's not just coach speak. They are my 2 best practice players every single day.
Well, that's not surprising to hear, but it's good to hear. I think for your team, too, what I've noticed, and not just because he hit the shot against Ravenwood on Tuesday night to beat them, the play of Luke Burnett, to me, has been the key to your team.
Yeah, Luke's a senior point guard, 3-year starter. Scored 22 against Summit back early December. So Luke plays at a good pace for us. He understands kind of what we're trying to do pace-wise. Luke plays every position on the floor, knows every set play from every position. So just super intellectual, smart basketball player. And then, Luke's a track guy, man. He's a great athlete, can really run, can jump. He's wrong-handed, which helps him out there a little bit too. So, but Luke's a great kid, and I'm glad he's having success because there was times last year we struggled a little bit. I think Coach Tigert started the not guarding him at our place, and Luke's a really good shooter, but that got in his head a little bit. And this year he worked all summer and kind of got some confidence back. And Tuesday night he was able to make a big shot for us in overtime.
Coach Tigert, let's talk about your squad. 14-4, 0-1 in district play. You lose a tough one to Nowensville on Tuesday night. That game against Hillsboro, two of the favorites in the league, for sure, ends up being a great game. But let's face it was one that really was marred by the tough injury from Christian Brown. I know that was tough for your team, not only losing Christian and how you love him as a teammate, but just to have to be part of that, I know was tough for your team.
Yeah, it was a very emotional night, no doubt, and it's still emotional. And Christian being such a great teammate, a kid that brings it in practice every day, and he is a kid that led us in charge taking, shot blocking as well, so that rim protector. So it's not only a huge loss, on the offensive end, defensive end, but it's a big loss just on the day-to-day operations of Franklin basketball because he's such an important piece. But he's in good spirits, and we hope to get him back soon.
Coach, Davis Long, I think you can make an argument. If you're picking a team, you can pick any player from WCS. A lot might start with Davis because he's a point guard. He's a complete player. You talk about 54% field goal percentage, 50 from three-point range. He leads you in assists. He leads you in steals. He's third in rebounds. He's 80% from the line. He's a good leader. What did I not say about Davis? I mean, he's special.
Well, he is, and he just goes hard. From start to finish. My big joke is that he's got a third lung. I say that all the time because he just goes so hard. I thought he was one of the more underrated players in the area coming into the season. And this year, though, he's added the element of really scoring the basketball more. And so he's truly an all-around performer, both defensive, offensively, a great student, and it's just really a pleasure to coach him.
And now that you're a little different in terms of who you're playing and where you're playing them, you're a little bit smaller overall. I mean, obviously, Jack Medalley, good player for you. He's got some size. But you're comfortable with, I'm going to put 5 guys on the floor that maybe we're not really big overall, got some length. I mean, it's not like, Coach Moore's going, we'd take some of that length because his team's not real big either. But you feel pretty comfortable with, I've got 5 guys on the floor that handle the ball, can shoot it. We're not an obvious post look. You feel okay about that? It reminds me of some of your Dixon teams.
Yeah, that's a style of basketball that we all want to have more size, and I just over the course of my career really haven't had a lot of that. At first years at Franklin had a little bit, but overall I'm used to coaching a lot of guards, and so it's something I'm comfortable with. And you gotta have a game rebound mentality, though. You got to be willing. Guards have to be willing to guard post, and you got to have a little nastiness in you if you're going to play that way. But it enables you to play fast as well, and then shoot the 3 ball and stretch the floor a little bit. And so it's something I'm definitely comfortable coaching.
Let's talk about the league a little bit and the region. Coach Moore, again, last year I thought if you look top to bottom, that 12-4A was the better side. Your side, I think, top to bottom, is the stronger side this year. I really believe that. You going to say that?
No, I'm not willing to say that at all. I think that other side's pretty good. I think our side's really good. I mean, we've got 5 teams that are all good, but I think that other side's got 5 teams as well.
Sure. Come on, man, give me something. I'm not trying to cause
I got nothing for you.
I'm not trying to cause. I just think, Coach, you take a look at your side, it's pretty tough. But I do think this, and you guys know this, and we talk about this, a lot of it does come down to matchups. If you're looking like you guys in Ravenwood, for whatever reason, that matchup has been pretty good for them, but there's teams maybe you can beat that they can't beat. It's matchups anyway, right?
Without question. And I feel the same way. I think that league over there is really good. And you said it, it's about matchups. And so, right now we're sitting at 1-3 versus that league, I believe, if you look at it. No, 2-3, correction.
So maybe I'm wrong.
No, now I think about it, we're 3-3 in that league. So, but maybe so.
Coach Tigert just changed his mind.
Yeah.
Right there on the spot.
By far, the other side's better. How could you even say that?
How about we let you know about the second week of February?
Yeah.
That's something you talk about after the season, right?
Yeah.
Let's finish with this. And again, I appreciate you guys being here talking Battle of Franklin, tonight's matchup, tribute to Natchez High School tonight, Hall of Fame stuff going on. You got all kinds of things going on. Coach Moore, with your team, offensively or defensively or both, give me some keys for tonight's game.
Well, it sounds like we're going to have to defend the 3 pretty well. But, we're going to try to play to our strengths and play to our pace. Not necessarily a slow pace, but we're going to make them hopefully have to go against our set defense a lot, not get out in transition. And then, we always have rebounding issues every game. So where they're going to be tough to rebound, and Coach does a great job, his staff does a great job. Those kids, they rebound really hard. And, when you're shooting a bunch of threes and playing in space, that's a tough blockout. We'd much rather go stand on the block where that's a pretty easy blockout sometimes, Then offensively, just take care of it and value it and try to put it in the hoop a few times, I don't think we want the game up in the 70s.
Coach Tigert, I had another little flashback here Coach Moore reminded me of. I remember a game coaching against a Coach Tigert Dixon County team. The game's going great, and all of a sudden there's 2 guys leaking out and shooting layups, and I didn't know what's going on. So does Coach Moore need to be ready for the leak out tonight?
Well, if we find ourselves down by 10, yes, tonight will involve the leak out. But, yeah, we've got to create some pace somehow. So it's going to be a great matchup tonight. It's going to be a great atmosphere. Different styles, maybe offensively. I think their staff does a great job game planning, and so we're going to have to find ways to counteract that.
Well, as a fan of basketball, one of the things I do like about tonight, it's got a lot of elements. It's got the rivalry, it's got the crowd, and it's got 2 teams maybe trying to do something a little different. I think that makes for the best games. So we're looking forward to it.
We are too.
It should be fun.
Thank you guys for being here today.
I appreciate it.
having us.
Thanks.
Thank you for joining us for the Coaches Show. We'll see you next time.